Okay, so this is No Time to Explain Remastered. It is a remake of Tiny Build's first game, No Time to Explain. Um, and here we go. You're gonna get an opening shot of the mechanics of this game, and probably a lot about the story and dialogue of the game as well, from what's happening right here. So, the main method of movement is this jetpack slash laser thing that you can use for propulsion. And it allows you to propel yourself across the map and get closer to these portals that you use to enter the next level. Each level is basically the same. You're just trying to reach the portal and move on to the next level. So that was World 1, and here we are moving into the first boss of the game. Whom you will see here shortly. This is kind of like the intro to that boss. And here we will see the crab coming up here shortly. So the basic premise of this game is that there's a version of you from the future who comes back and says, "Come with me, there's no time to explain." And you have to basically go fight an evil version of yourself from a parallel dimension. Which you might understand or still might not from watching the cutscenes. It's pretty confusing, not gonna lie. It took me a few playthroughs to understand the storyline. And we are going to be skipping every single cutscene in this game. Some cutscenes are skippable through the game. They say you can click escape to skip this cutscene, or some cutscenes we'll be skipping by clicking select level, as you just saw, and going to the select level screen and picking the next level. So we detect where the save point is in each level, and as soon as we hit that checkpoint, click select level and go on to the next section. So that's kind of the two different ways of skipping cutscenes. Which is too bad because there's some pretty great voice acting in this game. You still get a taste of it here, so that's good. Okay, so this level, as you're seeing, still using the jet propulsion, introducing the hats, which are collectibles that allow you to dress up differently. So there we actually skipped a little tiny cutscene where you get hit by that car, and it introduces the shotgun rocket. But as you can see, we're still getting to use it. That's how you play through all these levels. You just get one shot of it, you can't shoot twice. And it propels you through the air. So we kind of skipped sections of each of those levels. Here we're going to do a little trick where we clip out of bounds, and before we die, shoot up to the portal. It skips a pretty long level, actually. Alright, good. So we're past that section of this world. And now we just have a few more rocket-propelled levels before the boss of this level, whom you can see on the right side of your screen. That is a sharktopus. So here we introduce the water mechanic to the game. It's kind of got some interesting properties. You can propel yourself slowly through it, and it has a lot of other uses, as you'll see later. And that's pretty much all there is about order. So here, I just know which section to go through that's fastest to get to the portal, right there. And here is another interesting property of water. You can kind of glide through it. There we're going to skip a couple of the water boxes just because we don't need to go. And yeah. So the way I'm moving through this game is I'm using WASD to control the character, and then the mouse to control the direction of the laser. Okay, so there, we got a 2-cycle on the boss. If you miss that cycle, he drops a nuke, and you have to wait for that to happen. So here, the octopus part of the boss, usually his legs start kicking out if you're standing on the platforms, or he gets you in the middle platform by dropping his head. But we're standing in the perfect position so that we don't get hit by either of those things, and on to the next section. So now we just got sucked up in that spaceship, and here we are inside the spaceship. And we have to get to the core of the spaceship and destroy its energy source. So here is going to be the first instance of one of those little platform shooter things, and they propel you through the air, and trying to avoid spikes and get to the portals just like always. And here's going to be the first instance of a tractor beam, which pull you toward the source, but if you hit the source, then you die. So you have to be pretty careful on these levels. And it's pretty hard to shoot out of the tractor beams, actually. You have to shoot at a 90-degree angle in order to get out, and some of them are stronger than others, as you'll see later. And here there's 2 of them, so that's pretty hard to shoot through. Takes a little bit of time. So this level is very precise. Can cause a lot of issues, but we navigated it somewhat successfully, and now we're on to probably the hardest level in this section. And there, I made it look easy. That was quite a positive thing. And then this is the first instance of the stage split mechanic, which we'll see a lot later, or a little bit later in one of the other worlds. But there, that stage is supposed to be a lot more complicated, but we have a way to skip the level. So, and then here's the last level of the section before the boss, and it's got a pretty difficult to get out of tractor beam, so we go in the middle and then shoot from there, propel ourselves through it. And now we're on the boss of the section, the core of the spaceship. So here we're gonna, oh wow, that was really unlucky. So now we're gonna shoot ourselves over here, and we should be able to 2-cycle the boss from this platform as long as we don't get anything falling on our head. And we look good so far. So you just gotta break through the outer barrier and then shoot the core until it explodes. And 2-cycle, saving 23 seconds. There we go. Alright, so we hit select level as soon as we kill the boss, and now we're on to the next section of the game, which is an auto-scroller, sort of, but the how fast each enemy spawns depends on the speed at which you killed the previous enemy. So it's actually pretty important to get quick kills. This first enemy, it doesn't matter. So, but I'll still just kill him fast so I don't die or anything on accident. This guy, it does matter though. There we go. There's another wave of first kind of animal, spaceship, whatever you want to call it. And another wave of the second kind. And then a wave of this kind. Then these ships can knock you off and take a life, but we are in the perfect position for it not to hit us, so... Okay, so there was the Triceratops. You didn't really get to see his mechanics, but that's okay. It actually doesn't matter how fast you kill those guys. This enemy comes out at the same speed regardless, but it's nice to have those dead because they can kill you easily. So now we got two little dinosaurs shooting rockets past the first wave, and then this guy, he's a pretty cool boss, but sadly we only get to see phase 1 and a little bit of phase 2, and on to the next section of the game. So here we have levels introducing the fire mechanic of the game. Well, actually, that'll be coming up here in a second. So there you saw me spray at the ground so that I could do what I call a splat skip. Because if you hit the ground at too high a speed, it does a little splat animation. It wastes about a second to a second and a half, depending on how fast you hit the ground. So hopefully you won't see me do any of that, because it wastes a lot of time. But so here is the fire mechanic, as I was talking about. So what was intended was for you to set on fire, hit the wood, and then go back in the water. But it is possible to finish the level while still on fire, so that's what we're going to do a lot of the time. Alright, that was pretty unlucky. That's okay. And then these switching spikes are going to be featured pretty prominently as well. Gosh. Alright. Come on now. There we go. And there we go. So it's possible to make a quicker cycle there, but it's very inconsistent. So I'm just going to go for the safe cycle, since missing the cycle wastes a lot of time. Okay, not bad. This level you're supposed to get the fire set on the water and then make it back in time, but instead we just skip the water. So this level, I call this flame skip because we can just skip getting set on fire altogether by sort of damage boosting. And you'd think that would be a little bit more prominent in a game like this, but really that's one of the only instances of damage boosting in this game. Okay, that was pretty unlucky. Okay. There we go, and we're going to be losing about 8 seconds to 10 seconds here. Maybe a little bit more than that. Let's fight. Or on this split, I mean. As long as the fight goes perfectly. So this fight is the mole boss, and he's a pretty interesting boss. So here we're going to go into the pit, which you normally don't want to do because it causes that animation to happen. But what we actually do by going in the pit is skip an animation of rocks falling, which try to kill you. And you'll see that animation later, and going in the pit saves, I think, 3 seconds, somewhere in that range. So here you'll see the rock falling animation. Maybe a little bit more than 3 seconds, now that I think about it. So here, use stomach a little more, and hopefully finish him off right here. Alright, and as soon as he's dead, do that. Select the level. We skipped about 2 minutes worth of cutscenes by doing that. And now we will head to the least explained section of the game, which is the asylum. Well, I call it the asylum. I don't know what it's actually called by the developers. But, so here is going to introduce another new mechanic, sort of a point and click mechanic that's got a slingshot mechanic, or slingshot physics rather, and it's pretty interesting because it depends. A lot of the speed is dependent on where you click, and a lot like when you release and all that good stuff. So it's a pretty difficult level in terms of speedrunning because there's so much variation even releasing half a second later causes huge differences in like how far your character goes and things like that. So, but as you can see, this is going pretty alright. Just got a couple more levels of the Asylum. There's one. There's 2 levels left. Okay, last one. And as you can see, you can't click in the square parts like that. Alright, on to the next section. Skip a few cutscenes first. So this I like to call Cupcake World, or just Cake World, either one. And you will see why momentarily. It is a very food-oriented world. So the main mechanic of this world is you eat these pieces of cake, and you get fat, and you can roll down hills and break through these blue blocks. And the cake also gives you an extra like health point, but it makes you much slower on the ground, much heavier. So you will get to see every sort of demonstration of the cake and its properties. So here we're just zooming through. Here we're gonna skip a large portion of the level by just... Okay, that was pretty unlucky, but we can do a backup strat here. There we go. You're supposed to go all the way up to those spikes, go get the cake on the top part, and then fall through from the top. But in speedrunning, you know, we want to go faster than that, so just skip that part of the level. So that was pretty unlucky right there. That's okay though. Alright, so here we're going to skip a large portion of this level. That was really unlucky. This is a very precise shot, and sometimes it can be rude. So here we're also going to skip a large portion of the level by shooting up right there so that we don't end up eating the cake. And we can just beat that level really fast. And then this, we're skipping even the largest portion, just shooting down, grabbing the cake, and finishing the level. So now we're on the boss of Cake World. And here you're supposed to hit him, go back, land on the ground, and then come back and shoot him. But there's a much faster way by just landing on him and rolling down. So that's what we're gonna do. And sometimes you can die right there. It's pretty inconsistent as to why it happens. And also he's on the other side now, which I have no idea why, and that's really unlucky because we're going to be losing a lot of time. Okay. So that was really unlucky. And that kind of screwed me over, so I'm going to try not to get angry though. Alright, on to the next section. So now, during that cutscene, we got ingested by another version of ourselves, and we are inside trying to figure out what's going on and why he's sick. So now we're going to introduce a new mechanic, which is these acid pools, and they cause you to pop up in the air. And like the fire, if you're on fire for too long, you die. So on some of these levels, we're just going to skip the acid altogether. On others, we will be using water to cool ourselves off. And On some others, we're just gonna finish the level with acid still on our body like that with the fire. So there are some pretty cool levels in this section. A lot of cool skips, things like that. That level is a lot slower if you don't know how fast to go and where you're going. Here we're gonna skip a pretty large portion of the level. There's a pretty precise level though. Stuff like that can happen. And that really causes issues. You have to be very careful with your clicks. And I was not. So that is why I probably lost 8 seconds there, 10 seconds. This is the coolest level. It wants you to go back in the water to cool off, but you can just skip all that, go in the water, head to the boss of the section, which is an evil version of you resting inside the arc chamber. So. Oh wow, that was crazy. I've never done that before, but it worked out. Alright, we're getting a lot of damage on him, so that's good. This boss fight is really making up for how poorly... That was an amazing boss fight. The rest of the section went really poorly, but that made up for it, so... Alright, now we have the art section of the game. This is all about the question of if video games are art. And each of these little dudes, if you talk to them, have something funny to say about if video games are art. And as you can hear, there's some classical music playing in the background. So the cool part about this level is you cannot see any of the level unless you shoot at it. But that's not really an issue for speedrunning because thankfully I have the locations of everything in this level memorized. So I just need to finish the level. But there's... Casually, this level is very difficult. Or not difficult, but just time-consuming and tedious because so much of the level is like shrouded in whiteness, I guess. And there's a lot of stuff that you have to avoid or like jump onto solely. So it's hard to know where you're supposed to be going. Okay. And there's a really precise shot right there, which you can see. Yep, got it. Now we're on to this section. And boom, perfect. And this is the last level of the section. And you saw a few splats right there. Got kind of unlucky. But we should be able to get ahead. At the end of this next split. That was not a bad split right there. So this is definitely still world recordable. Okay, it was an okay start. Okay, that's fine. Not great. Can accept that. Okay. Not too bad. on the last level of the section, and on we go. And we are ahead of our splits, so world record is definitely possible here. So here this is the first auto-scroller segment of the game. It was actually looked at as possibly being a mobile phone game by the good folks at Tiny Build. So here there are 3 different levels, and so the main level you saw, we want to get those green platforms and shoot up top. And here we're looking to get mines that the ship can run into. But we're getting really bad luck here. Haven't gotten any mines in a while. There we go. So now we're looking for more bombs. There we go. Alright, we fell down. It's okay. Hopefully you don't see the 3rd level, which is below this. If you fall down, you get sent down there. But, okay. Good there. Now we just need one more hit, and we can move on to the next section. That was really unlucky. I can't believe those didn't hit. We're losing a pretty good amount of time, but... Alright. I lost 23 seconds there because of bad RNG. That was fine gameplay. But here we're moving into the last section of the game, where we merge together the regular laser and the shotgun versions of ourselves. So there we go. We are now inside the little house thing, and we're on to the last section. So, like before, we can only shoot the rocket once before hitting the ground again. But the laser you can shoot as much as you want. And you'll get to see all sorts of variations of using those 2 things. There we go. Okay, got it. I'm gonna take granny strats here. Okay, we are definitely on world record pace going into the final boss. So we need to get good RNG here on the boss. Alright, we got bad RNG to start. So we're going to reset the boss fight. Alright, now we got good RNG. So we lost about 7 seconds there to RNG. But it's better to reset than to try to fight him without having the good RNG, because it's pretty much impossible to kill him. Okay. So now we're going to move on to the second section. Okay, I did not know this was possible. But, we wasted about 10 seconds there. Okay, and we're gonna miss world record by about 5 seconds. Alright, we got bad RNG again on this guy. Oh man. Just lit me up. Alright, Oh wow, he got me again. That sucks. And it was a 30-13. Okay. Well, that was on world record pace until we got bad RNG on the boss. I think I might submit this video instead though, because there's a lot of better gameplay in this. Just bad RNG on the boss and on auto-scroller.
Quick, shoot the bad one. This is impossible. Which one is which?
Alright. So this was No Time to Explain Remastered. I'm probably going to submit this video to SGDQ.